Tonight on The Media Project.
And as Commander-in-Chief, I have determined that it is in our vital national interest to send an additional 30,000 U.S. troops.
Our government has hired a shadow army of private contractors, and it's getting expensive.
They've been implementing programs and plans that are thought up in Washington and New York, which are completely out of step with reality in this country.
They found cost overruns, shoddy work, and yet the U.S. government awarded them another gigantic contract.
This is completely unsustainable. It's absolute madness.
Century breakdown. I once was lost but never was found. I think I'm losing what's left in my mind to the 20th century deadline. Heroes and cons.
My name is Nir Rosen. I'm a New Yorker, I've been working as a journalist focusing on the Middle East. I've written for New York Times Magazine, New Yorker Magazine, Washington Post. My last job was a bouncer. I like to spend as much time as I can with militias, mass movements, people who seem to have the real power on the street. In 2008, I was detained by the Taliban in Afghanistan. They were going to execute me, but they didn't, luckily. I was looking at the conflict in Afghanistan from the point of view of development and reconstruction, what's happened to all the billions of dollars that have been spent there. I like the adventure, the risk, the feeling of saying, fuck you, this is wrong, you're a liar, to as many people as I can.
Do you think the U.S. presence in Afghanistan is the main factor contributing to the destabilization you saw there, and how is it affecting the lives of the everyday people they're supposed to be protecting? For
Americans today, history began on September 11. They forget our deep role in creating the instability. We're implicated in Afghanistan going way back to the late 70s. So I focused on how all the thought underlying the war is wrong. You can obtain terrain, you can conquer terrain, but conquering a culture, which is what they're trying to do, I think is much more difficult. But the development side has been basically ignored because it's not really sexy. And the notion that if we spend enough money and get enough development, that'll lead to security.
But is it possible to do development there?
It's very challenging because you're in a war zone, you can't get around, you have no oversight, you're forced to deal with various local power brokers. And when you build stuff, it gets blown up.
It's a feel-good piece. Look, yeah, man, some guy with balls went out there and told you, I think this is what's going on. What's not to feel good about?
It's a fun jaunt through Afghanistan.